February 15th, right on the front side of when I like to really start looking. I don't like to pressure the bucks as much as possible, but one thing you take advantage of with this snow is getting out and checking the beds. Look at this. I like to take these opportunities and just get down kind of at their level. Once you find these beds, you just kind of get down there and see what it looks like. It makes perfect sense when you do it. Kind of see the advantage that they've got. They're tucked away, and boy, it sure makes you realize how tough it can be on access. Well, behind me is last year's burn. Actually trying to get some burn breaks put in right now. Got some good help here today, so taking advantage of that, but getting an area where we can get the mower basically and get this scalp down to where we have a good burn break to got to get a little ditch crossing right here, so I'm gonna get creative. Basically getting a perimeter so we can get the mower around it. Should be good. Perfect morning this morning. Doing a little frost seeding. You kind of see I got plenty of bare dirt here, but actually frosty this morning, but got a few more, got some moisture coming, so I think it'll be a good spring to do it. It's kind of a small plot. I'm coming off of a more of a green cover setup, but gonna rotate a little bit into some clover, more perennial for a couple years. So out shed hunting through some TSI, and this just shows you how important it is going to be to get a burn in here. I've got a lot of young stuff trying to get up. A lot of it's all smashed over by a lot of big cottonwoods, and got some oaks that are, you know, desirable that are in there. You just know you're going to have to probably damage a few, but that's just the regen process. There's one nice tall one. But you see where all last winter I made little trails and gave them some escape, but it's just one step away from becoming really, really good bedding. If I can get a slow enough fire through here, it's just gonna, you know, get most of that lower stuff. There's still gonna be that side horizontal cover for the most part, but it's kind of, you know, you can see you're not looking through any of this, so it's ideal. Just gotta get a fire through here. Well, it's a typical spring afternoon, taking advantage of the daylight savings. Got a truck loaded down tree I need to cut up and get off this plot, and a bunch of trees to plant. Got a nice order I'm just opening up from Morse Nursery here. Look at this, man. All right, we're fighting daylight. Got the tree cut up, got a few more trees left. Yeah, I got that one off the plot, but look at this, a big eclipse capturing tonight. So hey, I guess if worst case I'll just have to work through the dark, but throwing in a little keeper pair right here, getting ready to put a tube on it. Matter of fact, I'm all scattered around. I just got a few put in over here. That big elm I'm getting ready to take down, but this is gonna be nice. Get this kind of little bit of a cove put in with some trees, and losing daylight, so sorry I gotta go, but been a productive evening. Well, I started out, I was joking, but you see that's pretty good light. Just wrapping up. It's kind of crazy, but some of this stuff, you got small windows to get it done. All right, here we are. The calendar's flipped to March, and we're on the edge of a kind of an oak habitat here that had a bunch of cedars encroaching. So the thing is, there's not a lot of young oak in here, but because it just needs to be released. If you look at the floor right here, there's plenty of oak leaves. Just got to get the sunlight. I'm just coming in here and kind of strategically dropping a few of these cedars, leaving some of them standing dead. Girdled a couple junk trees here too, but you'll see it just kind of turns into kind of monotonous cover. But I think if I'm gonna go in here and create a couple pockets, use the chainsaw to kind of clean up some of these and get some sunlight in and see what kind of comes back naturally. But you can see it's starting to fill into where it's gonna be nothing but cedars if I don't do something. But just little pieces, just dedicate, you know, a couple tanks of fuel and do a few sections at a time, and don't let it be overwhelming. Well, about an hour of work, maybe an hour and a half, 3 tanks of fuel. Sometimes you feel like you don't get anywhere, but you can see these big cedars are, you know, taking up a bunch of sunlight. And so I went ahead and girdled them because I want to keep the bedding. They're bedding under here. I'm going to clean some of this up, but you see an oak coming in right over here. But then I've got, you know, areas where they're going to be able to tuck under these cedars. But man, I've just been cutting and kind of trying to drop most of them. You know, a lot of them are in here. They're kind of touching each other and leaning. But these spots just feels like you're not making any progress. But I'm going to have to come back a few different times, kind of clean it up. But, you know, anything you can do is better than where it's heading. So it's going to be a continual fight, but I enjoy it. Going to see what's coming up. Nice seeing these oaks kind of shooting up through there. All right, I'm setting up a future stand here. It's kind of a slip-in type entry, but got to get all this prepped. I'm actually closing off some trails. That's a big thing this time of year. And then I opened up some really nice little spots that got obstructed where they were trying to go around. And now I'm going to create the corridor back to some bedding. I'm getting ready to cut. All right, this is a pretty sweet setup back here off of that that I've just cutting where that corridor comes off that new stand site. But 2 medium-sized cedars that kind of leave here out towards the edge. I actually scratched out a couple beds. There's been deer bedding here. As a matter of fact, I've spotted bucks along these bedding in here without the bottom limbs cut, but I'm trying to set them up better further from that set, but close enough to get them out in daylight. Just going to connect to this corridor here that I just kind of cut in some more bedding, but that main corridor that I ran comes right up under. Cut it back into this pocket. Got plenty of sunlight coming in here already, so we're going to get some early growth, but put a couple horizontal beds in here just to give them some cover on some old junk hackberries that are coming in here. Got some locusts in here that are good firewood here eventually, but kind of tied it all together through another little corridor. Anyway, that leads right back out there, and you can kind of see my trucks out at the edge of that, but just kind of tying these together in the winter or right here before green up. So this is the time to do it when you can really see it. They'll start using this and mat it down even better. But yeah, season never quits. All right, I hope I do this a little bit of justice, but there's kind of an open little pocket out here. It's a little bit of a bedding area. It was already kind of getting good open light. These cedars are still providing excellent cover, so we're trying to manage them. About every other one I'm girdling and still clearing around the base, but these were so covered up on the base there's nowhere for them to bed, and some of the bedding in here is getting lost. We're getting kind of taken over a little bit by some of the mid-story that'll need to kind of come down, but I just want to show you what you can do with it. One tank of fuel right here. So that doesn't probably do it much, but I'm going through these kind of little bedding pockets. See all the little bit of droppings here, there, everywhere. But I'm going cedar to cedar. Here's one this one here's an example of one that's girdled. Still provided a couple beds under it. I got another one over here. I still got to clear a lot of the junk out of it, but they're cut. I've got them at least cut. I need to clear it out yet. Basically tying bedding areas together. Here's another set of cedars. Kind of got turned around in here, you can see, but I got these cut. Still got to get the stuff around the bottom, but I'm seeing, you know, 4 or 5 other ones. Here's a really good one here that I cut. I'll show real quick. It's not cleaned up yet, but this one you can see all the big arms that were down. I've got them all cut right here. There was already a bed. See that flat spot? There was already a bed there. Just providing a little bit more of that downward look. I've got more cedars right there cut and prepped, and 1 or 2 girdled. But this should be really good. I'm just promoting this, helping this already good bedding area out for next year. This is where I plan. There's a buck in here I want to kill next year. Pretty sure I say this every time I do this, but I'm getting too old for this. Take a look at this though. I got cedars kind of lining this whole opening. And this last one I cleared out, man, it's like the lair, man. There's droppings all over out here already, but try to give them some stuff to kind of bounce through. I've made a pile kind of in between 2 big old pockets, but look at that one right there. Probably let that go for a few years and then come back and take it out. And this would actually be, you know, it's going to continue to be a good bedding area. Just needs managed. Got quite a bit of dogwood shoots coming up off of these. You can see some of it still alive and getting nibbled on. Starting to rain, but that's okay. Still had a little fuel left in the tank, and a tree that I spotted late winter that I wanted for a stand, and I'm cutting off these hedge tops right here. I'm gonna make an obstruction so they can't. There's a little faint trail, but the big trail's right back here. And then right back there's the corridor. Kind of an inside edge right here. Mock straight branch coming in off of this. They've already hit that, broke it, but wait till they see the oak limb this next fall. I'm gonna enhance this little crossing, cut that little cedar spot in the fence I can lower. Always something going.